to the Witch's Nest. This is my little area that I have created for myself during quarantine. So my altar is over here. You'll probably see various cats coming in and out as I talk throughout this video. So today I want to talk about the magic of experiencing aroma. And this will go into some of the things I've learned in perfuming and also some things that I've learned within the magical realm when looking at honing your skills in clairalience, which is one of the clairs that has to do with smell. Like clairgustance is taste, you know, you've got clairvoyancy, clairaudience, which is hearing. So this has to do with the sense of smell, and that is one of our earliest developed senses. So what I want to talk about is that experience, because scent doesn't have, it's not something I can be like, here's, you know, it's not a tangible thing that you can hold in the palm of your hand. Sure, you can hold a bottle of an essential oil, or you can hold a rosebud or something like that, but the actual scent itself transcends that, and it exists in the ether, but yet it's something that is so crucial to the human experience and how we think about and process things. So I have a couple I brought some things with me, so we'll talk about that. I think you can see them over here somewhere. But one of the things I learned in perfuming, and I've seen a similar exercise, I think it was when I was reading Matt Aaron's Psychic Witch book. One of the meditation exercises actually kind of mirrored some of this. I was like, oh, I learned that when I was doing my perfuming training. Interesting, because I hadn't really kind of thought of merging the two together. So when you're thinking of an aroma, of a scent, or, you know, of a plant or anything, like, stop and start to think of it in concrete terms. What color is that aroma? Not what color the plant is, what color is the aroma? Like, it doesn't have to be like, for some people you might say, oh, lavender is obviously purple. Some people, lavender's yellow. It's got a different color to that. That experience of the aroma doesn't necessarily match the color of the plant that it comes from. And in some cases, what does it taste like? Now, you can have lavender in a tea, or hibiscus or rose or something. So you might have some idea of what it tastes like. Is it rich? Is it savory? Is it sweet? Is it tarty? Is it sour? What kind of sounds do you associate with that? And further delving into that, what kind of music do you associate with it? What song is Blue Lotus? What song is Wormwood? So thinking of things in that kind of context is really interesting when you kind of look at merging the sort of science of aroma and working with plant materials and essential oils and things like that with sort of the magic of it. And so not only do we have that, but we also have the feelings and memories or emotions associated with a particular aroma. Like for me, magnolia reminds me of my grandmother's house when I was a child, because she had a beautiful magnolia tree in her yard that I would sit in as a child. So for me, that's what magnolia is. Then thinking about it in sort of more abstract terms, what shape is that aroma? Is it like a little spiral? Is it a sigil of something? Is it a triangle? Is it a square? Then kind of thinking of it, the texture of it. Is it soft? Is it hard? Is it velvety? Is it rough? Is it earthy and gravelly? Hi, Moon has decided to make an appearance, as always. You know, thinking of it in terms of light and dark. Is it like a bright sunny day? Or is it like midnight? What time of day? Like thinking of it in those terms. And then movement you associate with it. If that fragrance was a dance, what kind of dance would it be? Would it be ballet? Would it be a mosh pit? Would it be modern dance? You know, what would it be? So you can start pairing all these things together to really experience in a profound way aroma and scent, even outside of your magical practice, that you can start to experience these things on a whole other level. And, you know, lastly, like, what images do you associate with it? You know, when I say magnolia, when someone says magnolia to me, I think of my grandmother's house. And, or maybe it's something you saw in a scene from a movie, or a picture of someone that exudes that kind of presence. So it's a really interesting thing, because I never thought about scent about this before. I took a class in perfuming, and it really, like, we had to sit there with, God, I forget how many I did. I'll have to dig up the note cards for them, because it was a two-part homework assignment we had, where it's like we had to take, you know, different essential oils from different fragrance families. So say like your florals and your citruses and woods and herbaceous ones and things like that, and kind of sit with them and think about all those things. And then the other part of it, which I actually had a lot of fun with, was going around getting perfume samples and then writing about them. What does that perfume evoke to you? Like, for me, when I smelled Chanel No. 5, I'm like, yeah, this is rich white ladies at a fundraising gala, you know. Or one of them, it was like Shalimar or something. I'm like, oh yeah, this is definitely like disco 1970s, cocaine on the mirrored table, you know, sweaty people dancing, all that stuff. So it's the power of how aroma and all this can really evoke such a magical element in our practice. Because when you think about, you know, we all burn incense, candles, things like that when we're doing our various rituals and spell work. But are we really thinking about that bigger picture of what that combination of aromas brings to your magical practice? So again, it's just something to really think about and to experience. So if you're watching this video, I would say, like, just pick a few things in your house or outside and just sit with them and think about those few things. And really just, you'll understand so much more about how connected things are. And then kind of you can start comparing and contrasting them with each other. When you look at similar types things, like how are the lemons and oranges and limes are all citruses, but they're all very different. They all feel very different. They smell very different. And then you can kind of break it down into those things. Like I can sit here now and be like, I can tell you exactly, I know exactly how Atlas cedarwood smells, Texas cedarwood smells, Virginia cedarwood smells, Indian or Himalayan cedarwood smells, and my favorite is the vintage Himalayan cedarwood, which just smells like a glorious, like, bonfire. So thinking about this is you can just kind of break it down, and scent, like, starts to stand out and develop its own personality and manifests things for you. So that's something that I find so profoundly fascinating about the sort of marriage or communion of my professional studies with my magical studies. So I'm going to pull up a couple things, and I'm going to kind of just sort of go through what I feel with them. And I'm going to take a sip of something first, because so the first thing I brought out is my jasmine essential oil, which is, jasmine is one of my favorite aromas. I love it. It just takes me to another place. And aroma is something that's very personal, because there's some things that, like, I smell them and I'm like, get that away from me. Like, I hate the smell of cumin. Like, to me, cumin just kind of smells like body odor. The same with green myrtle. I'm like, no, this just smells like natural deodorant that isn't working quite well, right. Hi, Corey. You can hear him meowing in the background. Hey, buddy. So it's like that experience of jasmine, and it's just such a lovely fragrance. But when I think about jasmine, I mean, I feel the colors I feel with jasmine. I mean, I feel it feels very light and pastel, maybe purples and some pinks, maybe some that real, like that rose gold kind of pale peach. But jasmine flowers are white, but that's the color that the aroma transmits to me. How does it taste? It seems sweet. It seems like it would be sugary, maybe even a little candy like. What does it sound like? Jasmine? When I first closed my eyes, I felt like I was sitting on a beach, but not like a crowded beach, certainly not the Jersey Shore. I live in Philadelphia, so that's a thing. But it's just something like quiet contemplation, like the place of it. What does it sound like? Um, I mean, so many things come to mind. Like sometimes I feel like I'm in like a tea, like one of those little artisan tea shops. Other times I feel like I'm just, running through a field of flowers. It just brings up all these different things. And, what music? That's the one I love. I love matching music with aroma. This to me is just like a really sexy love song. Like something that just gets you in the mood. Like that's just very sultry. Like I'm thinking like talk show host by Radiohead. Like just that kind of down tempo or something even trip hoppy like Portishead. That's the music of jasmine to me. What memories do I associate with jasmine? I use jasmine a lot. I have a little bit of a problem with jasmine. I tend to use it in a lot of things that I make. But, thinking of the feelings and the emotions. Maybe I don't have a specific memory of jasmine, but I definitely have an emotion of it. I mean, it just feels beautiful and elegant and flowing and just so full of love and beauty and sexuality and just, you know, laying in your lover's arms, that kind of comfort. And all this is coming from just something I'm smelling, something that's intangible. What shape is it? I don't know. It feels very fluid and flowing. Maybe not like a mandala or something like that, but just, if you just sort of like took some brush strokes and kind of, just lightly painted, maybe with like watercolors or gouache. It's not heavy though. It doesn't have a heavy texture to it. It's not like oil paint or acrylic or something like that. Is it light or dark? This feels like that a golden summer day to me. But jasmine is also night blooming, so it does have an element of night to it. So, but that's how it feels for me. Your experience of jasmine might be entirely different. How does it move? Like if it was dancing, I feel like jasmine would be like I want to say ballet, but more like modern, like a combination of modern dance, like interpretive ballet, not, Swan Lake kind of ballet. And what images come to mind with Jasmine? I don't know. I feel like high fashion photography in a way, glamorous models or something like that. But then at the same time, something simple and rustic, like a vineyard or something, or like the lush countryside and things like that. And all that in a little bottle. So that's the magic behind and this is just using an essential oil. And I feel the same things when I smell a synthetic jasmine, because I gotta say, jasmine essential oil, this little bad boy was like $200 and that for an ounce. So getting uh, synthetic sometimes, I mean, depending on what you're doing with it, obviously much cheaper. So kind of moving into different things, I brought in a stick of Palo Santo. And Palo Santo is just such a rich, creamy aroma. And like you look and it's just this little wood stick, nothing remarkable until you just start breathing it in. And I know a lot of people burn Palo Santo, which smells amazing, and there's Palo Santo essential oil. It's just something that kind of, it's very meditative and takes you into a different space, a different head place. So if you're doing any kind of, meditation before rituals or doing any kind of spell work, you don't have to burn, because burning Palo Santo is kind of a pain in the butt, but the smell, just even taking a few deep breaths of that in is just so transformative, and it's so creamy. It's like salted caramel ice cream, and it's, just warm and inviting and just comforting, like, a blanket, like a velvety blanket wrapped around you. And what does it sound like? I feel like it sounds a little bit like a very light shimmer from a gong or the tingsha that they sometimes use in like yoga classes. But, if it was music, it'd be something very light and ethereal. No vocals, no spoken words, just something very, very ambient. And that's, again, I'm not going to go through the whole list of all the different things, but that's, again, like how you can experience things and really connect with the materials you're using in your magical practice. Sorry, I have to give it one last sniff. This is beautiful. Now, what else did I bring with me? Oh, I brought some cinnamon sticks with me. Actually, I might. What a fun fact. One thing you always want to have when you're smelling a lot of things, and I didn't think to bring them with me, is I don't really make coffee, but I keep coffee beans around because coffee beans are an amazing nasal palate cleanser. Um, so it basically resets your sense of smell, because you'll often see them in like perfume stores and things like that. And when I vend at events, especially when people are smelling all my products and perfume, I usually keep a little jar of coffee beans there because it just sort of resets the scent. Because when I went to go smell this, I'm like, I know this is supposed to smell like cinnamon, but I don't smell anything because I'm still smelling some jasmine and Palo Santo. But we know what cinnamon smells like. It's soft and it's spicy and it's rich and it's warm and it's just so fun. And if it was, it would dance wildly and it would bring just an element into your magical practice of sort of like mystery. And how does it feel? It feels, sorry, my cat is down here. Moon, do you want to make an appearance since you made an appearance in my other video last night? Here's Mooney. Yes, hi girl. She's very much a witchy kitty. But let's see if I can find something that smells a little more. Let's see if my sense of smell is returned. Okay, yes. Much more for this. This is amber resin, which can be burned, but I will warn you from several experiences. Amber resin, when you burn it, can very easily catch on fire, which I've done a few times. So you have to be very careful when you're burning it, because you'll suddenly be like, whoa, overcome with smoke. But amber resin is just one of the most beautiful smells. I mean, it's soft and it's spicy. I mean, it's a little vanilla. It's a little, you got like that cinnamon clove cardamom kind of feel to it. A little bit of that softness of Palo Santo, but yet a very fragrant, like delicate floral, like a almost like the champaka flowers, which is where nag champa comes from, or even jasmine. I mean, it's just a beautiful aroma, and it's just, this is why when you look into, the history of, when you look into like ethnobotany, and you look into why these plants and materials were sacred to so many cultures, this is the reason why. They weren't just like, oh, I burn sage because I got it at Whole Foods and someone said it's good for, cleansing my house and shit. That they developed these relationships with the materials that they've worked with. And we are so far removed in our global culture, save for those of us who can live off the land and, have a lot of, yards and property and can grow a lot of stuff. I live in the city. I'm very limited in what I can grow and where I can grow it, living in the northern United States. So it's just reconnecting, and that's what the magical practice is about. Is you're reconnecting with the magic of the universe and the energy of the universe. So we have all these amazing tools of herbs and plants and crystals and resins and flowers and essential oils and all these amazing things that have spirit to them in themselves and have their own energies. Some things are just, and to think about what kind of energy is in whatever you're using is going to add to the energy of your ritual or spell work or whatever type of magical practice that you're doing. So if something is a little more passive, or something you're doing a healing spell, you don't want to be using something that's really kind of got an angry kind of spirit to it, or just seems a little more caustic. I wouldn't do a healing spell necessarily with like wormwood and sulfur and, things that had very pungent, like in your face kind of aromas to it. I mean, I would use something like amber if I was burning incense for like a healing spell. I would use Palo Santo. And the thing is, the associations we have with these, often intuitively, when you look up the correspondences and you look up the lore around them, often they go hand in hand. What we feel and what we know with these things is what's been known about them for thousands of years in some cases. If something feels peaceful, that's probably going to be its energetic property, and that might even play into its phytochemical properties. Like lavender and Roman chamomile are very peaceful and calming because that's what's in their plant chemistry. The phytochemicals that are in there give it its nature to be just very calming and centering. And in other cases, when you're looking at ones that, things that are used for, say, pain relief or, digestive things, a lot of times those are going to be your mints and your spices. Like, I mean, anytime I have an upset stomach, I will literally just grab my peppermint essential oil bottle and lay in bed and be like, because there's something in it, that has the properties in it help with, say, nausea or anything in that realm. Ginger is another one, cardamom. So some of these things, like, these are, a lot of these too are like common things you have in your if you have some basic spices from the supermarket, you can get ginger there. You can get, well, depending on the store, you can sometimes get mint or cardamom and things like that. But they've all got these properties to them, and there's a unity between the magical and the scientific with how we experience the energies and the presence and the magic of the aromas. So thank you guys for watching, and I will be back with more videos. I'm going to be, since I'm still in quarantine during the coronavirus fun times here, I will be releasing more videos, hopefully semi-daily-ish. It depends on the day because I also do have a lot of orders coming in that I have to fulfill, so sometimes that takes up a lot of my day, especially if I have to make a lot of things. But anyways, click like, don't forget to subscribe, and thank you to my Patreon supporters as well. With your generous support, I'm able to make videos like this for everyone and to share my wealth of knowledge. So have a great evening, day, night, or whenever you are watching this.